everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave. It's Jem here, and of course this is where we like to play with art stuff. Here comes chalk. It's on a stretch. Today is the second of our 3 videos from our coffee fund, and we are using gouache, and today we are actually going to do some painting, which I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear. I just want to say thank you once again to everyone who has donated towards this particular project. I'm having great fun with it, and today I just want to actually do something with our paints and we can explore what it actually looks like as a piece of art. So we're just going to head to top down view and we can get going. Alright, for today's first painting, I am playing it safe. I have started on a massive sheet of paper just to give me plenty of room for manoeuvre, and really just to give me room to make mistakes. That's what I mean by that. I'm also using some pretty high quality watercolour paper because I don't know how much water I'm going to actually chuck at this by the time I mix it in with the paint and maybe try some washes. So I am using the Gouache cold press paper, and this is a 9x12. I never paint as big as this, but I feel that today warrants it. And in the tradition of staying in my comfort zone, I am going to stick to what I know for this first picture and paint something that's very familiar to me. So I've got a slightly larger brush than I would normally use. What size are we? This is a 14 round. So we have to decide on a colour scheme now. I thought that would be fairly obvious as well because y'all know that I'm going to use green because again that feels safe. That's my safe place. I should have sap green. Where are you? I love you. I think what we'll do is we'll start with the sap green. Everybody's like, oh, such a cop-out, Jem. I really want a scrap of paper. I've got the swatches from the other day, you know, the bits that I was using, so I'm just going to use that to test the colours because the more water that you add, obviously it's going to affect the opacity, and that's something that I don't really have a gauge of yet. Well, I say a gauge, not a good enough gauge of. How's that? I'm going to be doing this, you know, and tackling it the way that I would tackle a watercolour painting. I'm hoping that as a starting point, it'll just be a good idea for my very first actual gouache painting. Should I be nervous about this? Right, see, that's far too opaque. More water. I'm a wee bit nervous about this. I just have to keep telling myself it's all just about having some fun. So I am just going to start by potentially ruining this entire picture, and I just want to get some base colour down here. This, whoa, I kind of feel that this paper is like sacred because it's really expensive, and I just feel as if I'm kind of like, I don't know, it feels a bit sacrilegious. Goodness me, there's a word and a half. But I just want to try and catch this while it's still relatively wet. And I'm going to try and use the water solubility to my advantage as I would with watercolour. See, this is fun. Very loose. Yeah, why not? And that's one thing I cannot fault the Gouache paper for. It takes water like a boss. It really does. I really want to get some streaks in here. Right, I'm going to have to leave that to dry. Now, interestingly, with it being water-based, it does lift similarly to watercolour as well. You know, if you get do the thirsty brush, thirsty brush technique, like this, you can see that it's lifted off the paint. That's actually worked really nicely as well. So that's kind of good to know as well. I just realised that my original intention was to darken this down while it was still wet so that I could blend these colours in together, so I figured that I should be doing that right now. So all I've done is I've mixed in a little bit of the primary green. Okay, so I just want to use this thirsty brush technique here to lift some of this. I do want to keep some of the texture though, and I think this is something that's working a lot better with the gouache than it would with watercolour. Okay, so I'm going to get some trees in now. So I've just got a little scrap of paper here and I'm just going to test out a few of my colours. Way too much, right? I think I'm going to have to learn how to quantify how much paint I'm squeezing out. I'm really not very good at this at all. Yes! Remember, I'm new to this. Okay, so I'll mix a little bit of white in there. I'll zoom out a bit, you might be able to... I'll move this palette over so that I've squashed everything. There we go. So that you can see what's going on a bit better. Okay. One of the things I really wanted to do was, when I was doing this sort of background, I really wanted to let the paint go where it wanted to go, and as I mentioned earlier, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to use a lot of water, just to see how it was going to behave in terms of its concentration and consistency, whether it was going to go down the same as you know, like watercolour would. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to work with the patterns that it's left and make it, you know, make everything sort of fit in. But the good thing about it is I know now that I can still layer these up, you know, can layer the paint over the top of each other. So that's going to be quite helpful as well. I'm kind of trying to just have fun with this and, you know, try and learn as I go, because I think that's really, it's definitely the way that I learn best. I don't know about everyone else. I like to have some sort of backing, you know, some theory or, you know, some sort of background knowledge, but generally I tend to find, oh, we've got a dog here, oh no. Generally I tend to find I get on better if I just kind of go for it. That's just me. Got to kind of, I don't know, I just have to kind of like learn from my mistakes. I'm one of those people, one of those stupid people. But that's okay, I don't mind. See, now I'm really concerned about how the paint is drying, and this is the one thing I have to say I don't like about gouache, is that you've kind of got to wait and see whether it's going to be similar to what you've laid down or not, and that's the kind of part I'm not liking. So what I want to do now is I'm just trying to decide what I'm doing with all this, because this looks remarkably like a bit of a tree to me, but this is like, you know, this is kind of like standard gem fare in terms of actually painting things, so I'm not in any sort of discomfort in terms of the subject matter, shall we say. But I'm really just going with the flow here. I didn't have any sort of plan or envision any sort of, you know, grand masterpiece for this kind of thing. It was just have a go, see where it takes you. And that's one of the things I really like about painting. Like I'm really enjoying that part of it. I just kind of like trying to embrace that. I'm going to have to go to a much bigger brush. I'm going to go back to this brush. Just off to the right here I've got a rag that I'm kind of like wiping the brush on, just to kind of like make sure I've got the excess off. There's nothing exciting going on over that side. Right, that's better. There we go. I've got a thing about crooked trees. They make me happy. In this ever increasingly perfect world where things are photoshopped and Instagrammed and all the rest of it, there's something really nice about nature just kind of like being its good self, and it's like, I'm gonna do my thing, you all can do what you want. And having the ability to sort of recreate that, right woo, flapping away there. And having the ability to recreate that in any, you know, any which way you fancy is just really nice. I think it's a real privilege to have, you know, even some sort of reference like that lets you do that. There are a great many man-made things of beauty in this world though, and I am not taken away from that for 1 second. I like organic shapes and that sort of free-flowing natural aspect of the world, and I suppose that's kind of reflected by the fact that I live on a farm and, you know, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. So really what I'm just trying to do here is block in some of the basic shapes of my trees and everything. I'm going to go back over and put in a lot more detail, but that's going to be a bit later. I wanted to get this part done first. This really sort of pale colour that I've used here, I'm going to water this right down. and that is to just add in some twigs and things in the background here. So although it's a really pale colour already, I want it to be really watery because I want these to be like kind of quite far off in the distance, and I'm just going to test this out before I start sticking it down. Yeah, okay, we're good. Yeah, that's good. It actually looks a lot better on camera than it does in real life IRL. But I just kind of like this sort of, I don't know. This to me right here, what I am doing right now, I just find it really relaxing. Even if something goes horrendously wrong, it's actually not going to be that wrong, so why would I not want to do that? And while this is still wet as well, I can actually take a little bit of water and just sort of like spread it out a little bit. Just make it a wee bit more interesting. I really wanted this to be sort of fading into a path, but I've got this mark here, so I don't know whether just to make it into sort of like mossy bits or something like that, I don't know. And I really like that these parts have come down, like the way they've sort of dried in this sort of hanging type. It's almost like a garland. So again, I'm just gonna utilise that and really, you know, make it a feature. Okay, so I want to mix a sort of, I want to keep with the greens, but I want to mix in a little bit of like a greyish green. So I think what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of olive. I've still got the original paint palette that I was messing about with in the last video, and that, again, that's something that's really nice about gouache, you know, like being able to do that. So I'm just going to try and reconstitute some of this olive green, and the grey is actually right beside it, so I'm just going to try and mix them in together once they're wet again, kind of thing. But see, that grey's too light, I think. I don't feel bad for this because it's paint that I've already used. Turn that round so it's in camera shot as well, and I'm going to pop that to the side, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of this. This was black that I had added a little bit of white to. Yeah, now we're talking. It's a little bit waterier than I would have wanted, but that's just because the amount of water I'd plonked on that other palette. Now, I could put like a rock in here, couldn't I? And that could just be like hiding in behind one of these sort of more foreground-ish trees, and just lighten that up while it's wet, and, you know, go into wet and wet again. Yeah, and maybe have a dark one down in this corner somewhere. See the way the green goes down on this paper? It just looks like the top of a snooker table. And I really like that for some stupid reason. Yeah, so let's have like a big stone here. I do still want to show off some of these kind of like roots and things. I have to keep reminding myself that if I use the gouache neat or almost neat, that I can layer over the top of this. I'm still in like watercolour mode, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, if I do this, then I'm going to have problems when I go to put the sort of foreground stuff on, but I'm actually not. I just have to remind myself of that, and it's quite a difficult habit to get out of when the only paint that you've used is watercolour. So it's quite important for me to remind myself of these things. Like, I'll be able to put grass in front of these that's not this you know, that, and it doesn't have to be darker than what I'm doing. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have another stone here. I am absolutely flying by the seat of my pants with this. I am literally just making this up as I go along, which is fun. So I just have to remember that that's actually 2 stones, but I'll remember because, see, I've made like a kind of indent here. The other thing that I want to do as well is, and I'm just going to do it now, I don't seem to be doing any of this in any logical order, but I'm going to go back to this really pale colour, and I just want to start adding in some leaf type shapes. They don't necessarily have to be attached to anything in all truthfulness, but I thought I'd better start getting some foliage in there. How does that look? Yeah. Right, I'm going to have to do something about, I'm going to have to address the brown situation because I'm kind of getting annoyed about it now. If I give that a bit of a mix, that's actually quite a nice colour. It's like a clay colour. So I could pop some of that in there. Let's try it on here. No, too dark. Now it's gone, it looks almost like the grey that came out the tube, oh no. So maybe if we add a little bit more of this brown. I'm just making a mess now. This is like the most nondescript shade of anything I've ever seen. Okay, that might work. I'm kind of scared to do this. It's so opaque. Like, it really is. It's so opaque. and add even more water. This should give me a really, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, okay, good. I'm really tempted to go over this with a damp brush, like with a flat brush. This, okay, I'm just going to risk it. I am actually just going to risk it. I just want to see what happens now that it's started to sink in. I'll do it down at the bottom here. I just want to try and soften this out without actually... Yeah, okay, you know what, I'll take that, I'll take it, yep. It's just to begin to add a little bit of detail without kind of like killing it, and that seems to be doing just the job. Right, I'm going to take the Windsor green now, which was that really nice sort of almost viridian green. Again, I shall demonstrate this one. I'm just going to Bob Ross it, guys. I'm just going to whack in a huge tree right here. This is the part when everyone goes, ugh. Let's just get this right in here. It's really tempting as well to like try and get your trees all sort of straight up and down, and you know, kind of like what I'm doing here. Oh god. And in reality, there's very few trees that are actually completely straight up and down. The only thing is I don't really want to cover up this branch now, which is annoying. Right, so we're going to make this boy fork. This guy's going to go, maybe it's too early to fork. Maybe fork it off here. Fork it off. So many jokes. So many jokes. And this is the way that I tend to like construct my trees. I kind of try and get like the main branches going first, and then I kind of just build on it. It's almost like drawing a skeleton before you know, flesh it out with muscles. Just the way I like to do things. See, this looks too tall and skinny now, and it looks as if it's going to be really top heavy. So I'm going to bring this over a bit here, and I feel like there needs to be another branch coming off here. Why not? Oh, that green is so amazing. This is like actually my favourite colour, like it really, really is. Just a really thin one here, I think. I'm going to start it further up. It's a baby tree. Stick in some grass. I could actually do with a slightly shorter brush for this. So by building these up in layers, you know, you get quite a nice effect, I think. Now I've got this darker green, so I'm going to start using that now, and I will pop some leaves in here. And again, we can come back to these, you know, it's like to just do them a little bit at a time. Everything will be fine. Yeah, my first digital painting, I did something very similar to this, and it's actually really nice to do it in proper paint. I was really happy with that first digital picture though, because I had no clue what I was doing. I'm not even going to pretend I knew what I was doing. Messed about with Photoshop for 2 weeks. I took like an online course on the absolute bare bones of, you know, how to navigate the menus, because for any of you that have used Photoshop will know it is an absolute, like, it's just like a rabbit warren of functions and selections and menus and adjustments, and so I'm not very patient with stuff like that. So again, I did like the absolute basics, and I took a quick online course and did that, and then after that I was like, right, okay, I just want to paint something. So again, I did something very similar to this, and I just made it up as I went along, and it's kind of nice because it makes them turn out differently every time you do them. That was fun, but this is turning out suspiciously like it. I don't want to be one of these people that ends up painting the same thing all the time even though I'm using something different. But it is really nice to do this in an actual paint, like proper paint, so yeah, this is good fun. Okay, so I've mixed this colour and it is really dark. What I'm going to do is basically just frame the picture with it, but I'm going to do that at the end. So I'm going to build up my layers of these leaves a little bit underneath just to make sure that we've got the layers in, and I'll add in a little bit of detail now, and then I can do that bit last. But that's it, it's mixed, there's loads of it there, so I'm happy now that I can just crack on. These look like really off bunches of grapes. We're a bit wonky down the bottom here, but yeah, hey ho. And you can see as well, you can actually see my rock through the bottom of this, so I'm gonna have to go back over that. But that's okay too. I don't really think there would be much more showing up here. I could go ham with the leaves. Let's be realistic about this. I could go daft with them, but I don't want to do that. And this is why I love this RCA paper as well. You can just go over it and over it and over it. And it is starting to buckle slightly. You'll see where it's pulled away from the tape at the sides. But that's okay as well. That's not an issue. Okay, I'm going to leave that to dry now. And then I'm going to come back and put some details in. And then we can add the outside effect and everything will be lovely. So just adding in a little bit of detail now with this teeny tiny brush. Now you can, well, generally I can decide how far I want to go with this, and again this top part is going to be covered up, but I feel like it deserves to have texture all the way everywhere. And this is just patience, taking your time and deciding, you know, what you want to go where. Again, I try not to think about this too much, because if I do, it ends up looking too uniform, like I'm trying too hard to make it random, and in the process I actually make it really uniform. I just add in some streaky lines everywhere and then kind of go back and add in some more. That's there's no sort of like proper method that I use. I'm sure there probably is some sort of technique or whatever, but yeah, this is me. What do you want to do that for? So there we go, I'm quite happy with that side, so I've still got this one to do. I'm just using the very point of the brush here, and then in some places like here I might put a thicker line in. Oh, I've put my hand in something that's still wet. Oh no, right there. Careful, gem. This is still quite damp down here as well, just this corner part. Okay, that was a bit of a silly line. I kind of wish I hadn't added that one, but it's okay, we'll fix it. I've learned not to dwell on things like that. It's such a tiny part of the entire picture that really, you know, what are you worrying about? There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. I think I'm going to go back to this paler green. Not the palest green, but this one here. And I think I just want to pop in some watery leaves. I just feel like there needs to be some in there, even though I know that I'm probably going to cover it up. Because I'm quite an orderly person, I find symmetrical things very pleasing to the eye, but by the same token I realise that it can make artwork really boring. So I am trying to be more asymmetric in what I do. Doesn't always work, but I really want to see what happens now. This paint's still quite thick, and I really want to see what happens if I start putting a little bit of this down in here. Oh yeah, this is just such an outrageous colour. Like this should never be allowed. I'm hoping that when it dries it'll be a little bit more sort of calm. Yeah, I'm not really into like day glow trees. I'm hoping that this is going to work quite well. I don't know what I'm still really concerned about this now. Obviously it's because it's my art, but I don't know why I'm getting myself so precious over it, because it's literally the first time that I've used gouache. I have to just try and tell myself that it's just all an experiment. That's all it is. It's not, you know, I'm not going to like sell this or anything stupid like that. So what difference does it make if it goes wrong? And it helps you guys too, because it means you get to learn stuff. Okay, that's calming down quite nicely. That's okay, better. Better. I've just received or should I say I've just seen the colours of the month from Marker Universe, you know, for the 3 marker challenge, and they are all greens as well, so I got a little bit excited about that. So definitely doing the 3 marker challenge this month. In fact there's no probably about it, I won't film it, but I will put it up on my Instagram when I do it. And that's 2 months in a row where I've had all the markers. Because there are, you know, there's like an obscene amount of Copics. There's like 300 and... I think it's 358. I want to say 358. So, you know, when they do things like that and they give you a selection of 3, you're not always going to have all of the colours that they're wanting you to use. And so that's 2 months in a row I've had every single one. But that's no surprise this month because they're greens. Well, I think there's 1 yellow in there, and I do have all of the yellow Copics. But yeah, I was like, whoa, green, so exciting. So I'm kind of challenging myself to not draw trees. I've banned myself from drawing trees with the green Copic markers. So don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I'm going to find something interesting. I'm quite enjoying my little self here. I'm not using like neat paint here. On the rectangular side of this part, I have added a teeny bit of water because that zinc white gouache is really goopy, like wow goopy. I felt it was necessary to just add a tiny bit of water to it. Now I did say that this was going to be a separate rock. Aha, see, you guys thought I'd forgotten, didn't you? Yeah, I'm really enjoying this, but the only thing is it's this sort of anticipation of how things are going to dry that kind of concerns me. Again, I've got to tell myself it's okay because I can go back in and put some more on the top, and I don't really want to have to do that. That's marginally better. It's not great, but it's better. This one over here is not so bad though. Okay, I keep like kind of putting this off because this is the bit where I could ruin my picture and it's the very last thing that I'm going to do. But I'm just going to go in and put this border around, and I'm going to use this brush here. Oh, but no, I'm in with all the brushes today. I really like this brush because it's really pointy. Right, here we go. And it holds a buttload of paint. Let's start down here. Oh, that's dark. See why I have like instant regret about this? I think to myself, oh my goodness, what are you doing? I know it'll be okay once I'm finished, so I am absolutely not concerned about it. And I just find this, it's kind of becoming like my signature. I find this just a really nice way to frame what's going on in the middle. It's a tactic I've employed quite a lot, and I think it's going to become like my sort of, not my signature painting, but you know, it's going to be something that I end up using a lot. I think as well because I like to use really sort of dark, delicate, like dark colours to contrast like the delicate things that I do, because I do tend to favour things paler than you know what's in my mind's eye, and I do it when I'm colouring as well. I end up, you know, creating things that are a lot lighter than they maybe should be, or than I've maybe imagined them. And I think having this sort of dark background, well, having this sort of dark frame really helps, you know, with like the contrast and stuff. That actually looks as if it's following the line of those branches. That was a complete accident. So I try and look at the physics of the branches as well, because I'm like, there's no way that would hold the weight of that. I'm like, oh stop, Jem, it's a blinking painting. Can't have your trees being too perfect now, you know. I don't want this one to be as prominent on this side because I want my little sapling to be okay. Run out of this green paint, and the fact that I put some black in it, I can't really remember how much black I put in it, so that's a problem. How annoying is that? It's my own blinking fault. I know what I'm doing with this one. This one's got a mind of its own, I think. Oh, okay. Just you go wherever you want to go, don't mind us. I'm absolutely paranoid about leaning in the paint. I keep looking at my elbow. Look at my stones now, they look okay. I've got this gouache thing. I'm just going to pop a little bit of this in here. Oh, that went horribly wrong. It's covering up my wonky sapling though. Or the wonky bits of my sapling. Okay, this is not good. This is not what I was wanting. Spoke too soon about saying I've got this gouache painting. Serves you right, Jem. Okay, so now is just where I start and really just like try and frame this a little bit. I don't want too many of these though, because I don't want it to take over, you know, the entire picture. But I generally like kind of work my way along the top. I'm not going to get entirely clean my brush either. I've still got this kind of like dark colour on it, and I'm going to dive into this slightly lighter green, and just while it's damp I'm just going to pop in some of this, let that spread itself about a bit. Now there we go. This is weird because this has dried a lot darker than what I expected it to. So I'm just going to go back in, and I just want to add some more over the top of this. Make it look like it's supposed to be there, you know? But this is getting on for being like a whole little section in itself over here. Anyway, I think at that I am done. I think it's got enough interest in it, and you know, the different things like the little sapling, and then we've got this bush and this over here, and then a broken tree. I really like saying the word gouache as well, and I think it sounds awesome in a Scottish accent. That's just me, I'm biased. To be fair, there's not a lot of words that sound great in a Scottish accent. It's like, wait, you don't give us posh words to say because they don't sound right. Like, I'm trying to think of a posh word now. It still makes me laugh that there's so many of you that like my accent, and people keep messaging me and emailing me and saying, can you say this word? How do you say this? How would you pronounce this? And they just want to hear me say it in my Scottish accent. Apparently though, this really is a thing, and it makes me laugh. Somebody had commented on one of my videos and said, I'm really sorry, this is really shallow, but I'm upvoting your video just because of your accent. I was like, yep, you carry on. So fine. I'll take it. It's okay. But I said I still find it really amusing that I work so hard to edit all these videos and, you know, really push myself and try and keep improving my art so that you guys can, you know, come along with me kind of thing. People are like, yeah, don't really watch your videos, just want to listen to you talking. I'm like, okay, that takes zero effort on my part. Maybe I should just do a chat. Maybe I should do like a Scottish ASMR channel. That'd be hilarious. There we go. Here's the best bit for all you people that like this part. Like, oh, oh, that didn't go so well. Take the tape off, and this is really fat tape as well. Look, oh, stop the board. I'm really glad I had this tape on, because otherwise this picture would just like blend into the board that it's stuck to. Okay. Oh, kind of ruined that side a little bit. You think by now, you know, after like a year and a bit, I might have figured all this stuff out, but no. Kapow. There we go. That's okay actually, for a first attempt. Yeah,